three-dimensional people. James, so that feels really nice. I'm going to start today. I really want to, I have just one purpose today, and that's really emphasize something that I think is very important about how we help other people, and how I think Mike really embodies that specific thing that I think is essential. So I'm going to start this story with talking a little bit about myself. And I'm so glad that there was this nice introduction, because what I'm about to say is probably going to be a big contrast with that. I was born in Juarez, Mexico. That's right at the border with El Paso, Texas. And if you don't know this, but Juarez is a very violent city, and is the entrance for most of the drugs that come into the U.S. And that was sort of where I grew up. I thought it was awesome growing up. Yeah, I would have changed for a world. But now that I reflect on that, and I'm aware of how much adversity I was exposed to. I was brought up in not in poverty, but near poverty. And I'm the first one in my family, from my grandmother down, to ever go to college and graduate and get a PhD. I had a very rough childhood, specifically my teenage years. My parents got divorced when I was 12. I was living by myself when I was 14, on top of a Mexican cantina, like what you imagine in the movies. That's exactly how cantina was downstairs. And that was my life during my teenage years. I dropped out of high school. My mom didn't know I dropped out of high school. So when I was 1 year away from the day that she thought I was going to graduate from high school, she gave me her car. We lived in Juarez. She worked in El Paso. She had to cross the International Bridge every morning at 4 a.m. so that she would avoid the long lines. And then she said, the car is yours, Hector, because you're going to need it to go to college. But the only condition is that you let me use it to go to work. Right? And being the awesome person that I was at the time, I said, perfect, that works out for me. Very well. A few weeks later, I crashed the car. I totaled it. And that night in jail, when I was detained, that's when my life changed. By the way, this story was the story that I gave in my interview for my Harvard Fellowship. So after that, my life took a right turn. That's the first watershed moment in my life. Again, I remember it was a Saturday night between my birthday and my mother's birthday, 3 a.m. at that jail cell, when I decided I was going to change my life. And I decided, one, that I was going to graduate from high school when she thought I was going to graduate. Actually, she learned that I dropped out just a couple years ago. She was the only one that didn't know this. So I told her that. So then I decided I'm going to graduate. That thing that I decided, I was hanging out with the wrong type of people. Just to give you an idea, half of my friends from middle school are either dead or in jail right now. Again, I didn't realize that was a problem at the time. But I decided I was going to change. And what I decided is that I was going to go to church, not because I was very religious, it just needed a new group of people to hang out with. So in that process, I did end up graduating when she thought I was going to graduate, by the way. And that was the biggest sort of impact that I could have in terms of education. Because I became a safe learner, that led to college, that then led to graduate school. But more importantly, I decided that I wanted to help people. And that this is really where the story gets very interesting, I hope. Is that I decided that I really wanted to help people, and I started going to church, and I became really passionate, and I was this close to becoming a priest, a Dominican priest. That's what this little pin is for. The only reason that I decided that I couldn't is because I really wanted a daughter. Like I didn't. I really wanted a daughter, so I knew that that was not my life. So I decided academia. Similar, right? But about anything, I wanted to help. So in church, I started a movement. This is when I was in college. I started a movement that still exists in Mexico, that it was about bridging higher ed and spirituality. I mean, I really wanted to educate people that had faith in science. For some reason, I was obsessed with that. And I failed. Yeah, the program still exists. It has like 5,000 members across Mexico, but I still feel I failed. Then I go to master's at UTEP, University of Paso, and I do my PhD there. I'm not serving at this time in community service, but soon after I graduate, everybody that was a professor at UTEP knew that I had this inclination. So soon after I graduated, somebody came to the university and asked for help. And this person came from the government subsidized housing communities of El Paso, and they wanted a youth program. And so the provost calls everyone in, and for some reason she calls me as well. And these are people from social work, from education, from all the right programs with all the right knowledge. And everybody was just sort of throwing themselves along and saying, oh, have you talked with this person? Have you gone with this person? And they were direct. And I just felt so embarrassed. Right after the meeting, I walked up to Maria, who's now my friend, and I said, you know, I'm going to help. I'm going to help you. And we started a youth leadership academy with the best of intentions. We served in that process 70 youth from government subsidized communities in El Paso, and the goal was to get them to college. A few of them just graduated last summer from universities across the West. But I still feel I failed. And now my job as a senior associate in agronomy is still to help other people. I'm obsessed with helping. But throughout this entire experience, what has become very obvious is how hard helping other people is. I have tried to help all those people I told you. I have tried to help my sister. I have tried to help my aunt who's diabetic and depressed. And it's just so hard. And it makes me, for years I've been asking, why is it so hard to help other people, especially when you're trying to help them, live a longer, healthier, happier life? Doesn't everybody prioritize that at the very top of everything they want? And then I realized, through some of my research by the way, that the answer is actually no. We don't prioritize longevity. We don't prioritize health. We did not evolve to do that. It's amazing, but we didn't. All of us here were the descendants of people that were clever enough to survive enough to have kids. That's 15 to 20. We're not the descendants of people that were clever enough to get to 60. So we were designed through an evolutionary process to prioritize immediate survival. And we confuse that with longevity. Actually, worrying about longevity is a luxury. Because you know what that means? That there's no immediate threat in your life. Sometimes I look at Kim Kardashian and I see, spending all the time in the gym, and I'm thinking, if I had all that time, I'd probably live that good as well. So it hit me, right, that all those things that I wanted to achieve throughout all those interactions, the reason that I was failing is because I was approaching health from my perspective. I thought what this group of people need is that they only need to know better, and my job is to educate them. If they only knew better, they would have better lives. And I thought, I have all this experience, I was able to overcome all this adversity, and so if I could do it, they could do it. And the only thing they need to do, is hear my story and learn some tricks. But what I realized later is that I was trying to educate a child, a teenager, that it was in a cage with a lion. Now think about it. If you were studying for an exam or trying to do something, imagine that you have to do that while you're in a cage with a lion. That immediate threat absorbs completely your attention, your biology, your psychology completely gets distracted. Think about somebody that is worried right now about where the rent for their home for next month is going to come. And you, very well intentioned, come and approach them and say, hey, I'm going to teach you how to save for retirement. Very good idea, right? Nobody cares. Not in that circumstance. Next month is more important. I have talked to people, mothers, when we're going to educate them on how to feed their child better, coming after our workshop and saying, Hector, it's not that I don't know that giving my 2 kids walkers is going to affect their health long term. But right now I have 2 jobs. And going to Whole Foods and preparing a meal, it's just a luxury that I don't have. This is a conscious trade-off of longevity for survival. My aunt, I have a cousin, he's schizophrenic, and he's at home. She's diabetic, depressed, and uncontrollable. And my mom, she gets all frustrated, she calls me, Hector, I don't know how to help your aunt. She doesn't follow the instructions of the doctor. he gave me a lesson, a diet, and everything to do. Of course, longevity is not the priority. Survival is. I mean, that sweet bread she has every afternoon is the most calm, the most pleasing part of her day. Her entire resources are depleted by 5 p.m. There's no more capacity to worry about longevity and health and chronic illness. And the reason I'm saying this is because the communities that we want to help, the communities that might help, most of them are in these circumstances. And sometimes when we don't put ourselves in the shoes of the people that we're trying to help, we listen. Ultimately, the lesson that I understood is that if we really wanted to help, that if I really wanted to help, I needed to get involved. I really need to get involved in the people's lives that I'm trying to serve. I really need to understand if they are, in fact, in a dying stage. I needed to understand what was the circumstance. Because what I thought at first was irrational behavior, giving kids walkers or eating sweet bread when you're an uncontrolled diabetic, now it makes perfect sense. Because I went from beyond empathy to compassion, that I really put myself in a position to be helpful, to be impactful. It has changed not only the way that I serve, the way that I work, the things that I research, but also the way that I understand the people around me. Now, every time that I see them doing something, what I think is irrational, I always wonder, how's their life actually going? Is there something that I'm missing? Because maybe they're just prioritizing survival. And here's where I think Mike is doing a great job. So I told you I had that academy. I remember when I met Justin a couple of years ago, I had just got in here, the pandemic had just started, and he sent into my house a big binder with everything that my program was doing. And I was so impressed. I was actually jealous, and in a very good way. Because I was seeing everything that you were doing with the community, and I thought, this model would have been something awesome that I would have done when I had that academy. And I want to emphasize this. The thing that they're doing a whole bunch of awesome things. And I'm pretty sure most of you know all about them. They have evidence-based curriculum. They have scientists like myself engaged in that curriculum development. But the thing that I admire the most is that Mike is really building community with the people that they're serving. They really understand who they are. Their mentorship model really goes ground level. They're really getting engaged. And ultimately, calming, creating an environment of safety, creating an environment of attachment, of social support, that's going to go a long way so that those educational programs can actually land on something. So I'm incredibly honored, sincerely, Justin, that you invited me to share this. I'm assuming you were expecting some sort of sciencey talk, so I apologize if they gave me science. Now, approach me afterwards, go drink some beer, so take it But I really want to say this. I'm incredibly impressed. I'm so grateful that I'm a part and I'm able to support the program. And I really, the last thing I want to say is really the call to action is, of course, engagement programs like Mike, specifically with Mike Weekend, that are really comprehensive and are holistic and really care about the people that they're serving. They really try to understand them. But more importantly, in your own lives, we all have an aunt or a sister that needs help. I beg you, put yourself in their shoes and really see life the way they see them. And behavior that you might think is irrational is going to become very logical. Thank you.